I want to ask you this. For example, how can you tell when a superstar is on the wrong team? I think it's in their eyes, especially on a playoff night when the arena is overflowing with incredible excitement. You can clearly sense that a player who should be in the right place is playing in the wrong uniform. Today, I've selected 10 NBA stars and researched the perfect next team for each one. Now I'm going to share them all with you one by one. But before we get to our first player, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because this channel will keep bringing you content you'll love throughout the season. Let's start right away with number 10. Number 10, a place where stifled talent can breathe. Here's the reality. Jonathan Kuminga is in a real bind. As you've noticed, Golden State hasn't managed to use him effectively for years. According to Shams Charania of ESPN, Atlanta declined Kuminga's 24.3-point team option, effectively making him a free agent. Sure, he's young, explosive, and athletic, but he just can't seem to get the minutes he wants. Cleveland, meanwhile, was officially swept by the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, so they're coming back from that, and Mitchell is locked in for the long term. That's exactly what the Cavaliers need. I'm talking about a wing who can practically fly on defense. They could easily reopen a sign and trade window. Number 9, the young giant who deserves the pay. Jaylen Duren is only 22 years old and has undeniably had an all-star caliber season. Detroit isn't offering him a max contract. Of course, he wants a massive 5-year extension and is even considering signing a 9.6 deal. Duran and Cade Cunningham's max salaries are, of course, straining the Pistons' finances. That's exactly why Atlanta is a perfect fit here. Trae Young is gone, and they've built a young core around Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. However, there's no true franchise center there right now. I think Duran would clearly fill that void and truly earn the money he deserves there. Number 8, the scoring machine's new home. Yes, Zack Levine exercised his $49 million option and is stuck in Sacramento, which is in the midst of a rebuild. The market is weak. No one wants that salary, but Detroit is a different story. Sure, the Pistons posted the best record in the East during the regular season, but they still struggled to score in clutch moments on the half court. In fact, a pure scorer alongside Cade Cunningham is exactly what they're missing. His expiring contract could become a trade deadline move, and Levine's name has already come up in Detroit rumors. Number 7, the veteran the young core is looking for. As you know, the Kings have clearly put Domantas Sabonis on the market, and talks with Charlotte actually took place. He's had meniscus surgery and carries a hefty contract. According to Spotrac, his salary over the next 2 years is $45.5 million and $48.6 million, totaling a $186 million burden. But on the other hand, look at the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knueppel, a young and talented roster, but no true offensive anchor. Sabonis' passing vision combined with LaMelo's would be lethal. Bridges and Green's salaries would make the deal work. Number 6, the wrong city for a star. This summer, Ja Morant was traded to Portland, but I'd say that as soon as he arrived, he practically got lost in a logjam of guards. As a result, Lillard, Holiday, Henderson, and Murray, 4 elite league guards, are all on the same roster. Orlando, meanwhile, has been building a defense that's dominated the league for years, but it constantly craves a true point guard. Of course, a healthy Murray combined with the Magic's tall wings and elite defense could literally shake up the East. Number 5, a trade awaiting finalization. What I'm about to discuss is no longer just a rumor. The Clippers and Raptors have actually reached an agreement. Kawhi Leonard is heading to Toronto in exchange for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and draft picks. However, the aspiration salary cap investigation has put the trade on hold for now. Just think about it. The man who brought Toronto its first ever championship in 2019 is officially returning to the very place where his career began with that victory. Once the league closes its investigation, this trade must be finalized. And in terms of franchise identity and nostalgia, it certainly looks flawless on paper. Number 4, the allure of a fresh start. I want to point out that while Joe DeMars said we won't trade him, The reality is clear. Zion Williamson and the young Derek Queen aren't a good fit. Neither is a shooter nor a rim protector. Of course, let's not forget that Zion will earn $42.2 and $44.9 million over the next 2 years. He played 62 games last season, averaging 21 points on 60% shooting. When he stays healthy, he's still unstoppable. Brooklyn's cap flexibility and young rebuild would hand Zion the keys. Surround him with shooters, manage his workload wisely, and the star will return. Number 3, Giannis's new partner. 7 months ago in January, Trae Young was traded to Washington. He has a $49 million player option, and I'd say he's practically stuck in a rebuild. Miami, meanwhile, managed to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo, but of course they also gave up Tyler Herro in that trade. Now the need for a lead playmaker is glaringly obvious, and insider Jake Fisher has clearly identified Trae Young as the big fish. As a result, Trae Young's pick and roll could easily become one of the league's most effective duos. And considering Pat Riley's culture, I'd say he could very easily provide the discipline that Young needs. Number 2, the final piece of the championship puzzle in February. Anthony Davis was traded to Washington, but a rebuild is certainly not the right fit for him. He's coming back from an injury and managed to play only 20 games last season. Naturally, he wants to play more. According to Bleacher Report, he also has a player option for $58.5 and $72.8 for the 2027 to 2028 season. Meanwhile, Houston acquired Kevin Durant and successfully extended his contract. With Schengen and Amen Thompson, their championship window is wide open, of course. However, I'd say Davis's defensive impact and rim protection are likely the missing final piece for that roster. As a result, the young players and draft picks go to Washington, and Houston can compete for the title more comfortably. Number 1, the earthquake no one saw coming. I want to talk about a matchup that some of you probably won't see exactly this way. Devin Booker signed a new extension and stayed in Phoenix, but the team is stuck in the play-in quagmire and doesn't even have its own first-round picks until 2032. Booker certainly can't spend his prime years like this. Meanwhile, San Antonio managed to win the Western Conference title, but lost the final series 1-4, and Wembanyama became the youngest and unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in history. However, his inability to create his own shot in the playoffs was clearly exposed. Of course, the Spurs have flexibility under the salary cap and the luxury tax threshold with no draft pick restrictions, and the window to add salary before Wembanyama's massive contract extension kicks in is actually right now. Booker could be that veteran shot creator, and Wembanyama and Booker side by side would truly become a formidable force. Yes, here are 10 stars and their perfect next destinations. I've listed them one by one. Some involve a sign and trade, some a trade deadline move, and one could fundamentally shift the balance of the league. Keep in mind that most of these are my scenarios, not confirmed news. Now, I'd like to hand the floor over to you. For example, would seeing Booker alongside Wembanyama in San Antonio shift the league's balance, or would it build the next dynasty? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. Also, you can support me most effectively by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video.